Okay, so let's start with repotting because it's really helpful to understand how to correctly repot a plant. And perhaps you have a few plants that you'd like to repot right now. Okay, so we're gonna start with the Philodendron Congo Rojo. This variety is rojo because of the color of the stems. And when the leaf first unfurls, here's a new leaf coming, it is a beautiful burgundy red in color. After it unfurls, it slowly will turn to this darker, lush, shiny green with still hints of red in it. That's just a natural progression of the plant. These guys can get really big indoors. They're actually, I'd say, one of the better lower light plants, and very, very easy to maintain because they're really drought tolerant. I mean, I shouldn't say really drought tolerant. A cactus is really drought tolerant. The Philodendron Rojo is just a little hardier than other plants, let's say like a fern. You can let the soil dry a bit between waterings and really let it kind of get light and airy, when I mean like the weight of the actual plant in between waterings, and it won't suffer too much. It won't dry out and just completely wilt. So Philodendron Rojo, let's start repotting. So what do we need? You need your pot, you need your plant, you need soil. The soil that we're gonna use should match the same soil that the Rojo was planted in. So we're gonna do our best to match that. And what we're gonna use is just a general all-purpose potting soil. Because my camera is flipped, this is backwards, but it says all-purpose potting mix. So if you like this stuff, we sell it at the shop. We can always deliver it to you. If you want to repot, just let us know. Close this knife, don't cut myself. Okay, so good soil. Remember, whenever you open up a soil bag, smell it, because it's nice to smell dirt, but also make sure it doesn't smell any sort of mildew. If it smells mildewy, unfortunately, you shouldn't use it. You just don't want to risk indoor plants getting some mildew into their root ball. Okay, so we have our pot. The one thing I really like to put below pots is a screen. This helps so that the soil doesn't fall right through the drainage hole, because yes, all of our pots have drainage holes. We really think that's best when potting plants. If you have a planter at home that you absolutely love and doesn't have drainage, my recommendation, just keep it in its nursery pot and slip pot it. It's a term we like to use when you just actually slip the plastic right into the planter, and then you take it out to water it, and then you put it back in after it's watered. It's just the best way, in our opinions, to keep your plants happy. Okay, so repotting. Now, the trick is to never go too big. There is a misconception that the bigger you go with your planter, the bigger your plant's gonna grow. It's not necessarily the case, because you need to slowly increase the size of your planter so that your plant and its root ball doesn't sit in too much moisture retaining matter, aka soil. So, for example, we wouldn't plant this little dude, which is a 4-inch, into this big guy. This is too big. It's too big, big, big. What we need is like a slightly bigger planter that's maybe an inch or two by diameter and an inch or two by height. That is the best slow size increase. So if you have a 6-inch planter, the best pot then would be a 7 or 8-inch planter. If you have a 4-inch nursery pot, then the best planter to pot in is a 6-inch pot. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so start not using gloves. I like the feel of dirt. Start with giving your plant a little nest. And I'm gonna move this because I wanna take this out. I wanna show you this root ball. So let's check this guy out. So the best way to take a plant out, don't tug it because you're gonna rip the roots. So give this guy a little squeeze, 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 squeeze. Let gravity help you. And try to catch the soil that it's planted in, because there's nothing wrong with that. Whoa, that was so easy. So, a few reasons that was easy. One, it's a healthy root ball. See all those roots? Ooh la la, so beautiful. But also because this plant is dry. So it's also best to repot your plants when the root ball is dry. Okay, so now I'm gonna massage the root ball. I'm not gonna take all the soil out. The soil is fine. Root ball smells healthy, it smells fresh. There's no mildew smell. And I don't need to disrupt the roots too much. Okay, so you see I have a little nest of soil in there. What I wanna do is I'm gonna place my plant so that the top of the existing root ball is level with the top of the planter. You do not want to bury it, an inch or two down into the pot where you have to, bury a whole bunch of soil on top. The existing root ball needs to breathe. It needs to have oxygen reach it. And if you put a bunch of soil on top, it's going to be harder for it to breathe. So it's centered. There's a little bit of soil down here that we put in the beginning, and so that it's given a little platform so that it's level. And now there's room on the sides of the planter. You see the negative space between the existing root ball and the planter? So we want to keep it centered. And now we just want to add soil. I'm going to get some soil from my bag here. We're just going to add soil around in this negative space between the root ball and our new planter. Basically what you're doing is you're giving your existing root ball room to grow, and evenly. So you see, I'm not compacting the soil too much. You never want to do that because you still want your soil to feel kind of light and airy. So I might do it with my finger a little bit. Also, I love little kitchen things or paintbrushes if you have those at home. Spoons are great, the little ends of spoons, so you can really kind of get those air pockets filled in with soil. And then I give it a nice tap, love tap. It feels like we've filled in all the empty spaces. Now, the Philodendron Rojo does that naturally. It kind of like goes to the side. It is a climber, so in its natural habitat, it does push out aerial roots that does want to attach onto surfaces. So if you really want your guy to stand up straight, which, it could if you give it something to attach to, or you just give it a little bit of a support, but it is natural for the Philodendron Rojo to kind of do what it's doing, okay? Leaning to the side. If you really want it to stay straight, you can do it with a chopstick, a stick, a bamboo stick, or get it to climb, or just let it live. Either way. And we are done. So what I would do, because the soil of the root ball of the philo was dry, I'm gonna water it. But that'll be another video. So, potting done. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.